So now you're going to correct this passage, and then after I tell you the answers, I'll give you guys a couple minutes to look through because sometimes, like you accidentally circled the wrong answer, and so that's why you got it wrong. Or you just didn't read the question fully, or maybe you didn't read all the answer choices and you just chose the first one. That's definitely happened to me before, especially when questions say accept or not. A lot of times those ones are easy to misread the question and put the wrong answer. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes to look through your answers, see if you can figure out why you got them wrong. That's always helpful. If you can figure it out yourself first, why you got a question wrong, that's a really good sign that you're understanding the passage well and understanding how to answer these questions. And then we'll go through a couple if you have questions about them. If not, I have a couple that I'll just point out and explain. So question number 1 is A, 2 is G, 3 is A, 4 is H, 5 is C, 6 is G, 7 is B, 8 is F, 9 is A, and 10 is J. So again, I'll give you guys a minute to look through some of the ones that you got wrong or some of the ones that you were maybe like questioning. Look back and see if you can understand why the correct answer is the correct answer. Before we go through any questions, did anybody get them all correct? Did anybody just miss like maybe one or two? Okay, sweet. Okay, are there any that you would like me to explain? Okay, so again, I'll just choose a couple and kind of explain those answers and kind of like the process to how you get to the correct answer. So, question number 1, it can reasonably be inferred from the passage that shades Bowen. So, typically, the questions that you're going to want to try to use the process of elimination for is the ones that say accept or not. That's usually a good sign that that's when you want to use process of elimination. But like this one, for example, it doesn't have either of those things, but I think process of elimination is a good way to try to solve it. So basically you can go through this one and say, no, this was not mentioned in the passage, we can cross that answer off. Instead of, because sometimes questions like these can be a little bit confusing. It's like, well, I know that this was not stated anywhere in the passage. So like answer B, he had been in the army with Everett Payne. Well, the second paragraph just mentions that Everett Payne was not long out of the army. It doesn't mention anything about Shades Bowen in there, so like there's no correlation there, like there's no reason to believe that there's a correlation there. Was the oldest musician in the bullpen. Again, like the first paragraph where it's talking about the bullpen, it doesn't mention anything about that. There's no reason for you to infer that. Did not usually allow the local musicians to play with the band. That's not true because in that first paragraph it explains that they do invite people in to play with them. And so A is the only answer choice that's left. And it doesn't mention anywhere that he did accompany him, so we can infer that he didn't accompany him or like he didn't play with him. So again, process of elimination is sometimes going to be a really good choice for that. And then question number 3. The passage most strongly suggests that the second set of the jazz shows at the club is. So this one's a little bit confusing because it just mentions that it's the second set. But then it's like, well, how do we know that there's not more after that? And so they don't really explain much about the second set at all. except for that very first sentence. It was nearing the end of the second set, the jazz show winding down. So the show is winding down, so because of that, we can probably infer that this is going to be the final set. And again, because that's the only like sentence or the only section where it's mentioned or explaining the second set, that's really the only thing that we can get from that statement. So, yes.
From number 7.
Number 7? Yes.
Yeah, how are you supposed to know that?
It can reasonably be inferred from the passage that had he believed Bach and the blues were the, let's see. Okay, so it's the, like line 75 and 76. It talks about Bach and the blues. It says, it remained earthbound, trained on the bedrock that for him was Bach and the blues. So because it says that that was the bedrock, that's like meaning the foundation for that. And so it's like that was kind of like his inspiration or like what he built it upon. So it's just kind of like that last sentence there. So it's line 76 and 77. So, yeah. So because of the word bedrock, it's saying that it's the foundation for his piano playing. Any others? Okay.